Hi, and welcome to Lotto Edge. So a couple days ago, we witnessed the largest lottery jackpot in history. The Powerball topped out at over $2 billion and was won by a single ticket in California. So the drawing itself had some hiccups, and it was delayed by a single state, which was Minnesota, needing to finish some of its security protocols. Now, given the magnitude of a jackpot this size, I'm all for making sure everything is on the up and up. So, however, a lot of people on the internet now are calling the delay that was a complete sham. And honestly, I highly doubt there was anything sketchy with the drawing. And since California actually doesn't allow winners to remain anonymous, I'm sure internet sleuths will be all over the winner, making sure nothing was amiss. So the question I keep hearing, though, is how do we have so many winners sold in California and Florida? And conspiracies run rampant online saying that the lottery's rigged in favor of these states. So let me debunk that with a little bit of data here. So the report I have up on the screen here for you is going to show the sales from this most recent $2 billion Powerball jackpot. And a quick shout out to Dawn over at Lotto Report for supplying the sales data. So what I want to point out here is we have our states and how much the base ticket sales were. If there was Powerball and double play, but we're going to ignore that for here. And this is how many tickets were sold for each state. So what I want you to see here is California sold 40 million tickets for that one drawing. The second state on the list was almost half of that, and that was Florida at 23 million tickets sold for that single drawing. Let me just show you real quick from a cumulative perspective here. So we have California making up, as far as ticket sales, almost 15% of those sales, and adding on Florida another 8%. So those two states alone sold almost a quarter of all Powerball tickets for this last drawing. So what I find interesting here is we have listed out 7 states. 7 states made up a total of 50% of all the ticket sales. And I wanted to give you a quick visual here to see that. So right here, half of all ticket sales for this one Powerball drawing came from only 7 states. So my point being here is we're going to expect to see winners from states that sell many more tickets. If your state's on the list here and you sold, 1 million tickets or less than that, think about that. California sold 40 times as many tickets as your state. There's just, by sheer numbers, they're going to have more winners, which is why we hear about these states so often. Now, something that I found interesting as I was diving into this data, and I'm going to click over to this next tab here, and what I pulled was all of the winning tickets since 2003. So for the last 20 years of Powerball drawings. And I'm going to caveat here, we're looking at sales numbers for this single draw, not cumulative, but we are looking at number of winners over the course of this 20 years. And here's what I found interesting. So California, on this last draw, sold about 15% of tickets, and that's probably pretty consistent over time, but they had only 5% of winning jackpot tickets. Let's look at Texas here. Texas sold almost 8% of winning tickets, but over the last 20 years, they've had less than 1% of the winners. So same thing with Illinois, almost 4% of sales, but less than 1% of the winners. Now let's look at these ones in yellow here. Pennsylvania. So they had sales of this last Powerball drawing about 4.4%. But over history, they have almost 8% of the winners. Look at Indiana here. They sell less than 2% of the tickets, but they make up over 5% of the cumulative winners. Missouri, similar thing, 1.5%, but almost 5% of winners. And then Louisiana, of all states, they've had 10 winners in the last 20 years with 1% of sales, but over 4% of the winners. So again, my point being here is California and Florida, we would just expect to see more winners. They sell a ton more tickets than other states. The thing that kind of raises my question, would love to hear your thoughts, is how are these smaller states with less sales having such a disproportionate number of winners? All right, we appreciate you tuning in. Have a great one.